Welcome to the RSI Trade of the Day. My name is Benjamin Poole, head trader here at Verified Investing. Wow, we had an incredible move in some of the stocks yesterday. We had a big rip to the upside. MongoDB was up huge. American Eagle Outfitter stayed strong as well. So I'm going to go ahead and go into those charts. The first thing I want to do is talk about Tesla. Tesla on the daily time frame. The previous day did really well at staying above the 30 and chopping around the 70. I was mentioning that we had a potential to go even higher, about a 3-4% move to the upside, and that would have been our shortable level. Unfortunately, Tesla never got up to our level, and so we didn't get filled. And then Dutch Brothers. I did mention that the previous day I had Dutch Brothers on my radar, but based on the relative strength index and how support and resistance levels work, that Dutch Brothers was no longer on the table. We had a member say, talk to me in the live day trading room and say, what do you think of Dutch Brothers now? And I was mentioning that I went over that in yesterday's game plan, that when price consolidates underneath some resistance and you're looking to short it, that resistance, people have already basically like resigned to the fact that the price action is either going to continue down. So the people who are stuck in that trade have already exited, or they've decided, all right, well, I'm no longer in any pain right now, so I'm going to hold on longer. And so that price action could continue higher. And that's what happened with Dutch Brothers. Even though 2 days in a row, it looked as if it was going to do a pretty decent pullback, Dutch Brothers continued higher and went to another key support level. So a couple things to think about when you guys are analyzing charts, like what did it do? Where's the support and resistance levels? What are the, how long has it stayed there? Like we want pretty significant moves up into resistance levels for pullbacks, and same thing on the downside. We need pretty big flush outs in order for us to be more interested in trades. Okay, so all right, let's go ahead and just go into the RSI recap. So here's a chart of Tesla. I was mentioning to you 356.17 was the first level that I had, but our short level was 367.34. And on the daily time frame, that wasn't a big move from the closing bell. Here we got up 2%, and I was mentioning that this price action was about 4.5% higher. The unfortunate part was Tesla just chopped sideways. Didn't really give us any indication one way or another what it was going to do. And so this was off the table as nothing happened early in the morning. So another trade that didn't trigger, another one that is on my radar now, though. So let's go ahead and go into some chart setups. ELF. ELF is a ELF Beauty. The relative strength index stayed above the 70 pretty significantly. You did have a pullback to just below the 30, but if you notice the price action, you got a 1.1% pullback and then a continuation higher. So I anticipate ELF Beauty going up to around the 130, 131 level. But overall, this is staying strong, staying like a strong stock without any real volatility in the price action and no real volatility in the relative strength index that correlates with the price action here. So I'll go back into this a little bit later. So MongoDB had earnings, and this thing just shot up. Look at this. This is the type of price action that I like to see in the relative strength index, where you have such a strong price action and relative strength index stays like significantly above the 30, only gets down to about the 37 on MongoDB. This is incredible. This had a 37% increase on the back of earnings. So we're going to do what we're going to do is we're going to switch to the daily time frame, and note that if you guys are looking to short this $300 level right here, 299.09, $300 even number is likely where MongoDB is going to head to. And then you've got this low pivot. So this was the start of a green bar candle. So you got a lot of people who were entering this trade, shot it up, got price action all the way up to this double top, or this high at 371. And then all of a sudden you had this huge reversal. So if these people didn't get out of this trade when it was up, they didn't take profits. They likely didn't get out here, and now they were expecting it to come back up to their break even, and then price action continued lower. Let's see what kind of move it is. So this was about a 25% drop, which means that it's a pretty significant drop. And then it gets close to that level again and drops even more. So this this green bar opening for me is going to be pretty significant. People were out of the money up to 54%. Losing half of your account on one trade, it really is terrible, especially if you're dollar cost averaging into it. So again, this $306 level is going to be really big if we can make it through this high pivot. All right, so let's go ahead and go into American Eagle Outfitter. Let's go to the daily time frame. Here's the price action or the relative strength index that happened on American Eagle Outfitter. You did have a little bit of a pullback and then the sideways consolidation. Look at the relative strength index. It stayed pretty neutral. This is common. Once you get above some support, I have this $12.72 level as support. Chopped. It's either going to break down, or if the relative strength index stays high, then it's going to make another move to the upside. So that's what happened with American Eagle Outfitter. And so what we got to do is look at this relative strength index and say, all right, it stayed above the 30. Where could this possibly go today? Well, American Eagle Outfitters was up about 8.5% yesterday. So we're not anticipating a huge move to the upside. So let's switch to the daily time frame. Means you've got this high pivot right here at $13.52 from the closing price. That's only about a 2% move. You are going to get a pullback because this is a pretty good gap fill. It's not a major gap fill because the significance is only a 10% move to the downside, but still you should get a pullback. If it were me and I was looking for a day trade, you've got this low pivot that sits right here at $14.39. This would be my day tradable level. Something like that's beaten up like American Eagle can make another rise and go up another 8%. So for me, this is where I would enter. If you're more aggressive, you can take a shot at $13.52. But again, for me, I like the $14.39. LUMN, LUMN, another strong stock. Look at this thing. It did. So this is what happened yesterday. Price action or relative strength index was high on the day, got to the 30, never broke below. But look at the price action. Even though it's creating some negative RSI divergence, the price action of LUMN continued higher. This is a stock that's been pretty beaten down. Look at how low it is on the charts. So if we get another leg higher, you're going to have some resistance here at this red bar candle at $5.49. However, for me, the first level that I would be interested in LUMN, based on the fact that it's so beaten up, would be $5.92. So if you guys are looking for something to short, LUMN would be on my radar. And I'm actually going to put an alert here just so that way I can get notified if it does hit that level. CRWV has been beaten down, although yesterday it did have a pretty nice move, nice run to the upside. And look at what happened today. Here's the pre-market data. So CRWV, CRWV, had a nice sideways consolidation, put in this positive basically bearish consolidation, bullish consolidation on the relative strength index. This is what I see. Pop higher, 102. It's already gotten through this $100 even number. So what would you do is look at the price action. All right, it's gotten up to $102. It's still at the lower end of the charts, and stock like CRWV can head higher. So my first shortable level would be around 115.26. All right, you guys. So the first thing that I've learned that I learned when I was putting together my course is when you have significant news, relative strength index doesn't work quite as properly. I did mention that I did like the price action of CRWV, how it respected the relative strength index. However, as soon as I got off of the show, a news announcement popped up that CRO is getting investments from the administration and a couple other people. They're starting to buy up some of these, some CRWV. So unfortunately, the relative strength index on that note doesn't work. And as you can see, CRO is just ripping higher. CRWV, it got through this high pivot point right here at $23.35. I was mentioning that, I would be interested in this, even if it put in or removed the negative RSI divergence. But look at what happened. So you got this big move higher. You got a 12% move higher, and then a pretty significant pullback. So I was only going to be looking for about that much. However, CRO on the upside, though, had you gotten in, unfortunately, you'd be about 45 to 50% out of the money now. So if you see something like this where the relative strength index is going off the charts and it's not cooperating, there's probably some news. And unfortunately, it charts regular price action. It can't chart the fear or the greed necessarily that corresponds based on some news. So I apologize. I got that one way wrong. I didn't see the news until after I had done the show. So unfortunately, that one, it wasn't the trade of the day, but I like to try to give you guys as much information that's usable. And that was unfortunately some news that you couldn't really use. But now let's go ahead and go into the trade of the day. So the trade of the day for me, you guys, is going to be American Eagle Outfitters. $14.39 is the short for me. American Eagle Outfitters, $14.39. I really like this level. If it gets up here, it's still beaten down on the charts. However, if you get this pretty major pivot that when price action gets up into this level of $14.39, that would be your entry price. And then if it closes above this high pivot point or this gap fill sitting at $14.72 on a 15-minute closing basis, this would trigger a stop out for the charts. So again, my entry $14.39 with a stop out at a 15-minute closing basis above $14.72. So just real quick, I did have a question about MNR from one of you guys. You commented, and I don't really see a lot of price action. So I'm not sure if you're seeing the relative strength index. It's getting towards the 70. I'm not putting in some positive RSI divergence, unfortunately. So I don't really see anything in the charts. And so go to the daily time frame. On the daily time frame, there's just no real price action. Anytime I look at the 1 minute charts and it spots you like this, I can't do anything with this. There's just not enough information for me to decipher what the relative strength index is telling me and whether there's fear or greed in them in this particular stock. So I do appreciate you guys sending me these comments, allowing me to go over some charts with you guys or answer any questions that you guys have. That's what I have for you guys. Please, if you guys like this content, make sure you follow, like, subscribe, ring that bell so you can get notified at 8:45 in the morning. And please stay tuned. Gareth Soloway is going live here in less than 2 minutes. He's got some big news on NVIDIA. It had earnings and a couple other earnings, specific levels to look at for day trading and possibly swing trading. You won't want to miss that. And I'll see you guys next time in the charts. You guys have a great day. Take care.